The following intro may cause Dallas Cowboys fans to lose their collective minds. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Congratulations, Dallas Cowboys fans! Your organization has finally made a move in the offseason, going all in on your wide receiver, Cee Dee, who finally saw D money coming his way. A 4-year, $136 million 4-year extension. But don't worry, Cowboys fans, there is more great things coming your way come January playoff time, as your team once again, for nearly 30 years, will once again fail when it matters the most. With your quarterback, Dak Prescott, under center, not being able to throw the ball when it matters the most, not being able to get things done when it matters the most in the playoffs. Your defense will crumble. Your offensive line will not protect you. But if you want somebody to protect you, why don't you get Ezekiel Elliott? Because he is returning this year. Maybe he could block for you. Maybe he could be a better blindside blocker. I know I could be a better blindside blocker because after all, you're surely as blind as a bat. But anyways, come January playoff time, Dallas Cowboys fans, we will be enjoying once again laughing in your pathetic failures in the playoffs when it matters the most. Enjoy your stay in football hell. And now, to tonight's edition of our Nation Sports Show. Our Nation Sports Show. Tonight, on the Nation Sports Show, we wrap up our division previews for the upcoming 2024 NFL regular season that begins on September the 5th. Tonight, we give our predictions on the NFC East and the NFC West. It's showtime.
Good up to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Oh, it brings me so much joy torturing the Cowboys when I get a chance to, and it's so easy. Thank you, Jerry Jones. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? I am live right now on another edition of our Nation Sports Show. Welcome to the World Wide Web, live here on YouTube. I am your host, going solo right now. Don't worry. I'm driving right now. I'm steering the ship, but we're not going to die because I'm not on the road driving. But anyways, I am live right here, right now with you guys here on YouTube. And joining me here in a little bit will be our very own Kevin Rory. And unfortunately, due to a power outage in the Indiana area, Ezra does not have any power right now, so he doesn't know will he be able to join us tonight. And due to a last-minute family thing Joey had to do, he will not be with us here tonight unless plans change. But up until then, I will be riding solo, waiting on Kevin to join me here tonight for about 30 or 40 minutes, giving his predictions on the NFC East and the NFC West. And yes, folks, we have reached the final prediction stages for the upcoming 2024 NFL season.
But before we get to all of that, we got to plug the social media platforms up first on Twitter or X at ON_sports show, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show, and where I am live right now for Our Nation Sports Show live here on YouTube at YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. But before we get to all of that, also got to talk about the Nation's Corner because they will be live this Saturday. I believe, yes, same time as always, because as we all know, Bash in Berlin is happening this weekend. That'll be happening early, so I'm pretty sure the show will still be happening at its same time. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. Be sure to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, Facebook at Nation's Corner, and YouTube at The Nation's Corner. And be sure to join the guys and gals as they recap all things professional wrestling, including AEW, all in from this past Sunday at Wembley Stadium, highlighted by the incredible matchup between MJF and Will Ospreay. And once again, another great match between these two guys. And also highlighted by Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, winning the AEW World title against Swerve Strickland at a great match as well. But if you didn't catch all in as it happened live, be sure to check out those two matches because those two matches to me are the best matches of the card. And before I get to the festivities of talking about the NFL and all of that good stuff, I do want to run down a couple of quick concert reviews that I went to in the last couple of days. So as you all may have heard last week, I went to Kentucky, or I was going to Kentucky for a couple of days, and going to Mojo Thunder, one of my favorite rock bands of today. They were playing in Louisville, Kentucky on Friday, and it was their second of two shows in their home state of Kentucky, highlighted by their show in Lexington last week. But Friday, I caught the show in Louisville, and it was unbelievable. And before the show, I met the drummer, Zach, and I met the singer, Sean, who's also the rhythm guitar player. Just really cool dudes. Super really cool dudes. And to be honest with you, I think they were really surprised how when they heard how far I came and traveled to this show, because they weren't coming here near my state of North Carolina. And I figured, why not catch these guys on an album release show, because I've never been to an album release show. It was one of a kind for me because I've never been to one of those to celebrate a new record, coming out with a band, with any kind of band. But it was really cool, to meet those two of the band and just talking to them, and hopefully down the line I can connect with these guys and, and do an interview with the band. That'd be really cool, and kind of pick their brains on the new record, The Infinite Hope, which dropped on August 16th. It's a great album front to back. And what was really cool is they played the full album on Friday, and it was an awesome show. And the opening act was awesome too. I believe it was Lowdown Country Picker and his wife, stage name by the name of Honey. And you talk about the old saying, keep it simple, stupid. Good Lord. His wife plays a drum set with a kick, a snare, a hi-hat, and a crash. That is the epitome of keeping it simple. And she sounded great. And he sounded great as well when playing that guitar and playing slide. And what was also cool during the show is he did a mashup of riffs. He called it the 8-track weekend because he said he told a story about how he used to love going listening to records, on long road trips. Because, I mean, come on, you can't have road trips without listening to some good music. And he was playing this mashup, and he played riffs such as Kansas Carry My Wayward Son, Bad Company, Can't Get Enough, etc., etc., etc. Really, really cool. And then obviously Mojo Thunder came out. They kicked ass, took names. Just amazing, amazing, amazing. If you're in the Chicago area, they're going to be going to a festival called the Up and Smoke Festival in Chicago. And they're going to be playing that, I believe they're playing that, I want to say they're playing that Saturday on the 7th of September. Great band, great guys. If you never checked out their music, they're a really great band. They got a couple of records out. The first record's called Hymns from the Electric Church, which came out in 2021. And then the brand new album, like I said, The Infinite Hope, which came out last week, a week and a half ago on the 16th. And also they have an EP called Loose Lips that came out in 2019. And just these guys to me don't have a bad song. They're a great band, great dudes. Glad I got to catch one of their shows and can't wait to catch them again. Hopefully down here in my state of North Carolina, or maybe I'll take another road trip to check out the guys again. And speaking of concerts in North Carolina, last night, my God, Green Day. Green Day was unbelievable. Shout outs to my buddy Bo, my brother from another mother. My buddy Bo and I went down to Charlotte to check out the Green Day concert in Charlotte. Thank God it was not at Panther Stadium, because let's be honest, if it was at Panther Stadium, Green Day would have been the best thing to hit the Panther Stadium in a long time. Just saying. Probably since Garth Brooks and the Chili Peppers, etc., George Strait, Chris Stapleton, etc. Music is the only thing that's the best thing to hit the Panther Stadium, but I digress. But thank God it was not a stadium day, because a stadium show, because it's easier to get in and get out at an amphitheater show or an arena show or a small club show. Green Day was unbelievable. The opening act, the Linda Lindas from Los Angeles, California. They're all around punk rock. They're a all female punk rock band. They're really good. Lots of energy. All of them sing, all killer, all live. None of that backing tracks bullshit. And Rancid was the main opening act before Green Day. And shout outs to Lars for giving shout outs to professional wrestling a couple of times during the show, because he did say, "We are in Ric Flair country." We all let out a loud, distinctive "woo, woo." Yeah, they were awesome. They were awesome, and they played my favorite song from them, Ruby Soho, at the end of their set. And then Green Day came on 2.5 hours. That's right. 2.5 hours of music. Unreal. Playing stuff from their latest record, Saviors. And the biggest thing for me and Bo is, we have talked about this before this tour even was happening. We were talking about this, and it's unreal, because Green Day earlier this year announced that they were going to be doing their 2 classic albums, Dookie and American Idiot, both front to back on this tour. And it's unbelievable that they played that many songs. I mean, they came out, played it, The American Dream Is Killing Me, and then they went right in the Dookie. And then after that, they played a couple of more songs from the new album. And then they went right into American Idiot. It's unbelievable. I mean, Billy Joe Armstrong, Trey Cool, Mike Dirnt, and the entire band, they went out there, kicked ass for 2.5 hours, did not stop at all. Did not stop at all. It was incredible. It was an unbelievable show. Fireworks, pyro, you name it. It was unreal. And it was, me and Bo were talking about this before this tour even was announced. We were like, man, we would love to hear Dookie, played front to back, because it's one of our favorite records, from Green Day. And it's probably my favorite record from Green Day. And the fact that they played that many songs. I mean, they played 37 songs in 2.5 hours. I mean, they came on about 8:25 or so, 8:25, and played till about 10:50, 10:53. Insane, freaking insane. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, and Billy Joe Armstrong all night long was just full of energy, getting the crowd involved, panning to the crowd, the "Ayo," doing all that good stuff. Just what an unbelievable front man he is. And Trey Cool and Mike and the rest of the band. I also had a couple of guitar players and a keyboard player. Again, all killer, all live, as a rock show and music show should be. And just incredible performance last night by Green Day. Playing Dookie front to back. And Bo and I talked about this on the way back to the show, still feeling the adrenaline. We both were talking about, if we never go to another Green Day concert ever again, which we hope we can, if they come near here again, it'd be awesome. But if they never come near us again, we're fine. We're content. Because never, ever will you ever see a band play 2 full classic records in their entireties front to back. You will never see that again, probably ever again. It's one of a kind. To take on that approach of doing that many songs and being dedicated to mastering all of these songs from the new album, especially, and obviously the old deep cuts and obviously the songs that they always play, but just to play all of these songs and to have the stamina to do that, it is an incredible, incredible testament. I mean, to being a professional, musician. And if you want to be good at something, you got to work at it. And just it was an incredible experience to be there last night in Charlotte at the PNC Music Pavilion. And again, this tour is making its trek now through the South. They'll be in Atlanta tomorrow. Then they'll be in Nashville. Then they'll go to Pittsburgh and they'll go to Hershey, Pennsylvania. And I believe they go to the Northeast again, I think. But I know there's a couple of shows in Texas, or there's a show in Arlington. I know there's some West Coast dates at the very end of the tour. Just unbelievable. I mean, what more can I say? I mean, that right there was the coolest thing for me, and when it comes to hearing a full album. I mean, that was a dream come true for me hearing Dookie played in its entirety, and it's a moment I'll never forget. And also hearing American Idiot as well. I mean, and one thing I also will say before we get to what this show is designed to be, and that's a sports show, but I had to spend the first 18 minutes or so giving my my recap of what I went to over the last couple of days, and it's crazy. I mean, it's one thing I will say is that you could tell, me and Bo were talking about this too, that the younger crowd, you could tell, was more in tuned with the American Idiot record, because that's the most incredible thing about Green Day as a band is this tour covered everything for the old heads, the kids that grew up with the American Idiot album in the 2000s, in 2004, the old heads that grew up with Dookie in 94, and the casual fans that are just probably getting into the band. I mean, if you're a fan of the band and this tour's coming near you, how could you not want to go check this out? And being at that show, if you were having a bad night last night at that show, I don't know what the hell is wrong with you, because last night, it was just good energy, great vibes. Everybody was singing, dancing. When Billy was saying, "I want you to lose your fucking mind and jump and have a good time," people were jumping. I was being told by Bo, that people were jumping around and having a damn good time. I mean, it was great vibes. It was unbelievable to experience that. And also shout outs to a couple of friends that I met. Last night I met a friend named Dallas and his friend Shelby last night. They were awesome people. They came from Greensboro. So shout out to you guys. It was cool hanging out with you guys all night long at the concert. And hopefully one day we'll catch another show. But anyways, we are here. I am here right now. Again, Kevin will be joining me here in a few minutes. But this is what this show is. It's a sports show. And before I get to the division previews for the NFC East and the NFC West, I do want to talk about one thing that I did talk about in the intro, and I was making jokes about it with the Cowboys, because, again, how could you not? Cee Dee Lamb has signed a 4-year extension with the Dallas Cowboys worth $136 million. 100 million of that money is guaranteed money. Well, congratulations, Jerry Jones. You have finally went all in with one of your key players after you lost Tony Pollard in the offseason, after your shitty draft performance as the owner, president of America's team, supposedly. In the offseason, you have done absolutely nothing up until this point. Unreal. This is the first major signing that you have had that you have had in the offseason all year long. It took you to late August to do this bullshit when you had all offseason long to sign Michael Parsons, to sign Dak Prescott, to deals. And if you want to keep players around Jerry Jones, maybe some of these players will learn how to take a fucking pay cut. I'm just saying. Because if you want to keep all of these players, because let's be honest, guys, you're not going to be able to keep all of these players around because you don't have enough money on the salary cap to keep everybody around. That's not an opinion. That is a cold hard fact. That is a spoiler, as Paul Heyman would say. When you look at this organization, they're worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. What the hell have they done all off season long? Nothing. You want to know why I made an intro with this, mocking the Cowboys in the offseason? Because it's so easy. It is so easy to make fun of this organization. Because if you were all in to wanting to win a Super Bowl for the first time since 95, 96, we're going on nearly 30 years. 30 years since this team has done anything. Jerry Jones was on a radio show last night talking about how I need to be the one making all the calls. I want this. I want that. Well, how the hell can you want success if you're the ones that's not going to hire somebody? You can't just hire a head coach and call it a day. You got to have a name in that organization that's going to be successful. Why do you think Jimmy Johnson won you a couple of Super Bowls? After Jimmy Johnson had the success with the Dallas Cowboys in the early 90s, winning a couple of Super Bowls basically in a row. As a matter of fact, yes, it was 92, 93. Then you get rid of Jimmy Johnson. And then you better be lucky that you won the next Super Bowl in 95, a season later after San Francisco won it. Because after that, they haven't done nothing. It is unbelievable. And I heard this on ESPN earlier today, that from 1970 to 95, they were in 14 NFC championship games. They won 5 out of 8 Super Bowls, obviously. We know that. They were in 54% of the championship games from 70 to 94, or 95, excuse me. And it is just unreal. Unreal. Since 95, after they won the Super Bowl the last time. After they won the last Super Bowl, from 96, obviously, until now, the Dallas Cowboys have not made the NFC Championship game, and they have not made it back to another Super Bowl. You better be lucky that Barry Switzer was the head coach that won your last Super Bowl. Because let's be honest, guys, if we're being completely serious for a minute, as Lance Storm would say, if I could be serious for a minute, I'm being completely serious when I say this. You better be lucky that Barry Switzer was the guy that won your last Super Bowl as a head coach. Because if Barry Switzer would have choked in the conference championship game, the playoffs, or even worse for the Cowboys, the Super Bowl, you would not be hearing the last of that. And it's unbelievable how this team is worth tens and billions of dollars. And they're not doing jack shit in the offseason this year, especially. I mocked this team a couple years ago, or early on in the year, after they got their asses whooped by Green Bay in January. And it is absolutely hilarious to me how this team constantly crumbles under the pressure, crumbles under the pressure of being told, oh, you are America's team. You are you're one of the best teams in the NFL. Yeah, you're one of the best teams in the NFL when it's during the regular season. But when the games are on the line, you crumble, you fail, you get in a fetal position, and you quit. Yeah, you brought Ezekiel Elliott in the offseason back to the team. Whoop-de-freaking do. You want a trophy for that? I mean, it is absolutely crazy. You've made one significant move in the offseason, signing Cee Dee Lamb to a 4-year extension worth $136 million. $100 million of that is guaranteed money. I'm not saying Cee Dee Lamb isn't worth the money, but you waited this long till the receiver market was being resetted by all this money being extended? Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, being signed to these crazy deals. You waited this long, Jerry Jones, to sign this guy to a long-term deal? Now it's up to Cee Dee Lamb to actually show up and CD ball when it matters the most. Because if you do not show up all year long and perform at a high level, myself, Ezra, Joey, and Kevin will be clowning this team left and right. It never gets old. It never gets old. It is just hilarious to me how the media continues to put the Cowboys on this pedestal. And it sickens me because you got the media out there that the Cowboys, they're America's team. They're, they had one of the best regular seasons. They could compete with the San Francisco 49ers. No, they can't. No, they can't. And that's a fact. And you know it. It is just hilarious to me. Hilarious. The fact that this team gets all the hype in the world and they're not successful when it matters the most. The offensive line at times is bad. The defense, when it matters the most, at times is really bad. Especially against Green Bay in that wild card, or in that, I think it was the wild card. Yeah, the wild card game. That right there is hilarious. The Cowboys lost on the first wild card weekend of the playoffs this year. Green Bay killed them in their building. Don't let the final score fool you. It wasn't even close. And I'll never forget myself, Ezra, Joey, and Kevin, and other people on social media such as Urinating Tree laughing hysterically at this team for being so bad in that game. That was one of the worst played playoff games by any team that is in the top 2 seeds in NFL history in the playoffs. It was so ugly. So ugly. Interceptions, fumbles, missed defense assignments. There was not a single Cowboys defender on several of those wide receivers in Green Bay. They weren't even covering 15, 20, 25 yards on the guys. It was laughable. Jordan Love had a cakewalk to an ass whipping against the Cowboys in early January. So, yeah, Jerry Jones, you can be the head honcho all you want and finally make a move when you feel it's necessary. But if you want to make moves, you got to have a head coach that gives a shit. Because I'm telling you right now, if Bill Belichick was coaching this team, if Sean Payton was coaching this team, those are the 2 coaches off the top of my head that I can think of right now. They would straighten this team's act up in a heartbeat because they don't mess around with, the owners, the presidents. They let their actions be known too. They say, "Hey, I need this position, to be better. I need this running back, this defensive player, these receivers, kicking, quarterback, offensive line, defensive backs, you name it, linebackers. I need everybody to show up and do their job," as Belichick would always say when he was coaching the Patriots. You want to know why Bill Belichick had success? It's because he gave a shit. He didn't give in to his players. He didn't let the inmates run the freaking asylum. He didn't let Robert Kraft be the one pulling all the strings. Yeah, Robert Kraft was making moves, but so was Belichick. The reason why the Dallas Cowboys are not going any further is because Jerry Jones has always had coaches that couldn't get it done when it mattered the most. They have had, since 96, they have had 7 different head coaches. 7 different coaches. And it was so funny because when Mike McCarthy was hired, to be the next coach of the Cowboys, we were all saying, good luck with that because you're going to fail as well. And no surprise, he has. Oh, he had success with Rodgers. Oh, he's going to go to the Cowboys and fix things. Don't worry, I'll wait. He ain't doing nothing. He is not doing nothing. It is absolutely hilarious to me how no matter who the Cowboys get as their head coach, everybody's like, ooh, I think they're good. I think they're good. Whatever. No. You want to know what the problem is? Jerry freaking Jones. Jerry Jones is the problem. He is the single reason why the Dallas Cowboys will never, ever win another Super Bowl as long as he is team president, owner of this team. In perfect timing, because I'm clowning the Cowboys, and joining me to clown these Cowboys before we get to the NFC East and West predictions, K-Rod, Kevin Rory. What's up, my brother?
What's going on, Steven? And yes, I made it in time, and especially my name. Hint, hint, never Cee Dee Super Bowl. Yes.
So, Kev, I've been rambling like a rambling man, doing the best I can. Give me your thoughts on this contract extension because this is the first major deal that Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys have made. Finally, going all in on Cee Dee Lamb. Whoop-de-freaking do. Fire away.
Well, I mean, that he deserves the money because that is the offense. For one, let's not confuse that. But why didn't they get you knew you needed to pay him. You knew that. Why didn't you do this shit 4 or 5 months ago?
Exactly.
Why did you wait 7 days before or 9 days, 10 days before the season starts? What like the problem I have with that is when players do that and they hold out deservingly so because they're not I don't blame them whatsoever. You're going to pay me or I'm going to hold out. The problem with it is the only way to get into football shape is by playing football. You can work out, run, do whatever on your own, but you know what? Once you start playing football, that's when the soft tissue injuries happen. The hamstrings, the calf, the quads, the abdominal strains. And I fear that Cee Dee has not got enough practice playing football in that he's going to get overused, and there goes the calf. There goes the hamstring. There goes all kind of stuff, soft tissue injuries that can only be managed by playing football. A lot of people get hurt sitting out because they're not in the best football shape. I mean, I've watched it on my own team. Like Nick Bosa sat out 2 years ago or last year off season, and he only had 11 and a half sacks last year. Like it took a toll on him. Like the year before that, Deebo Samuel sat out. Deebo was real up and down all year, hurt, hamstring, calf, glute, ankle. That's what happens when you're not in football shape. So my thing is, why didn't they pay him back in May, April, around the NFL draft time? Why didn't you pay him then? Like, go ahead and get him sealed up, let him come into training camp ready to play. And you didn't, and you keep beating around the bush. And whoopee-doo, you got one guy paid, but guess what? You still got 2 others you got to worry about. Dak Prescott is going to need some money because who's going to play quarterback? No matter what you feel about Dak, who you going to have? Trey Lance, who just threw 5 interceptions in the preseason game against the backup, against the third stringer? I don't think so. You're going to have to pay Dak. No matter how much you think about him, hate him, this and that, and clown him, it don't matter. What's your other option at quarterback? You ain't got one. You didn't draft one. You ain't Green Bay. You ain't draft Jordan Love as a successor. So what are you going to do? And then you got to pay Micah Parsons because what do you Cowboys fans say? He's the next LT. He's Lawrence Taylor. He's that good. Okay, well, pay him. Why don't you pay him? Why?
And not only that, Kevin, it's like I said, you could have paid him even a year ago if you wanted to, and if you wanted to. And you could have gotten it for less money.
I don't think Micah you could because there is a thing about rookies. You can't negotiate with a rookie until after their 3rd season, which was this year. This past season. So they could worst case, but Nick Bosa had already set the market last offseason, went $34 million for defensive end. So I think they knew that, and I don't know what Jerry's waiting on. I mean, maybe he's waiting on them to get dementia and give up the team. I don't know. But it's not a good look for Jerry Jones.
Yeah, because he said in an interview that I'm the buck that stops. I'm the last one that makes decisions. How the hell can you have any success with an organization if you're not going to have a head coach who's going to make decisions too? Because clearly Jerry Jones is the master, the puppeteer pulling all of the strings around that Cowboys organization. He has had 7 different head coaches since they have last won the Super Bowl in '95.
And the problem I have with that is that that's exactly their problem. Why is this man the owner of the team and trying to do everybody's job? That's not how you run an organization. There are people in that position that's supposed to handle that responsibility. Like Jerry Jones wants to play GM of football operations. He wants to play president. He wants to play owner. He wants to write the checks. He wants to control the coaches. He wants to do all this other stuff and micromanage everything. And that's just not going to cut it. Like you look at other organizations that pay their players, they got people in them roles. Like you look like I can speak for my team, the San Francisco 49ers. Jed York is the owner. He's not making football decisions. He flat out told John Lynch, the general manager of football operations, and Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, hey, you guys tell me who you want. I'll open the checkbook. That's how we work. And Parag is basically like the financial advisor of the team who tells you, hey, we can afford this on this deal and yada, yada, yada. That's how those teams are supposed to work. Jerry Jones is trying to do it all. He's trying to be everything and do every job, and it's just that's why they can't win. He don't want to open the checkbook. He wants to do things his way, and it's coming back to bite him in the ass because they never win. He can't keep talent. He doesn't look at the teams and what other teams are doing around the conference. I mean, we've seen what Detroit did the last 4 years. San Francisco trades for Christian McCaffrey, trades for Trent Williams. They built over the last 4 years. The Philadelphia Eagles go out even after last year. They go get Saquon Barkley. They go upgrade. They go spend money. They pay A.J. Brown a high price amount of money. They paid Devontae Smith a high price amount of money. They paid Jalen Hurts a high price amount of money. And what did the Cowboys did? Oh, hey, Cee Dee Lamb, finally. They're finally out of the negative. They paid somebody. That's not going to cut it. You got 22 other players on the offense and defensive side of the ball that you don't take care of. So come on, Jerry.
Exactly. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious to me, because again, Jerry Jones is the one that is making all the moves. And if you're not going to make any moves, I mean, because we clowned them in the draft. Their draft performance was so piss poor pathetic. It was so easy to clown these buffoons, in the draft, and also when they got their asses smoked by Green Bay in January in the first game of the wild card round. I mean, it's crazy. And Kevin, I don't know if you've heard the intro yet, but I did a intro clowning this signing and mocking it, and you should go back and check it out. It's hilarious. Oh my God. It's absolutely crazy because again, Jerry Jones has made no moves hardly at all this year, except for Cee Dee Lamb. Whoop de freaking do. You got Micah Parsons.
That should have been the first one made because I mean the guy put up damn near offensive player of the year type numbers, and I mean, come on now. This is what you do. When guys perform at that high of a pace, you pay them then. What did the 49ers do to Christian McCaffrey over the last 4 months after that offensive player of the year performance? He wasn't even up for a contract extension, but you know what they did? They said, you know what, we're going to give you a pay raise. We're going to make you the highest paid running back in the league by a mile. We're going to give you $19 million instead of $14 million, which is what the market is. We're going to reset the market. Here you go. Take it. You're the offensive player of the year. You did it. Let's do it. They should have done that to Cee Dee Lamb. The Cowboys know that is the Cee Dee Lamb. That is their offense, is Cee Dee Lamb. And here's where I'm at with it. With Cee Dee Lamb, yes, they will not win a Super Bowl. They are closer to being out of the playoffs. But with Cee Dee Lamb, they are in the mix of maybe about the 5 best teams in the NFC. Honestly, I mean, they're up there with the Detroit, San Francisco, Philadelphia's, and yada yada yada. With that type of with Cee Dee Lamb. Without Cee Dee Lamb, this offense might not score 14 points per game because who the hell is their running back? Center Ezekiel Elliott. They lost Tyron Smith, their starting blindside tackle. They're about to lose Dak Prescott. They got a rookie tight end that's pretty decent, Jake Ferguson, and they don't have no wide receiver too. They I mean, they just shit the bed, really. They don't really have other talent that can make up for what Cee Dee does. And that's why you should have paid you should have paid him that money in January and February, because you knew what he was for this team and you knew who you were going to lose, so you should have paid him then.
Exactly.
If
And
there's any one of those three players that deserves any money, it is Cee Dee Lamb. And I mean, yes, he needs it more than Dak. He needs it more than Micah, because let's be honest, Micah's known to shit the bed. I mean, he shit the bed against Green Bay. I mean,
correct.
when you can't play in the run game, what is just a pass rusher doing in the NFL? You're not worth the damn.
Exactly, because Jordan Love and the offensive line for Green Bay was blocking Micah Parsons and the rest of that defensive line and linebackers and stuff. And
I have seen Cee Dee Lamb shit the bed one time, and it's when I came up with the Cee Dee ball catchphrase, and that's the only game that he has really shit the bed. Every other game, when he gets the ball thrown his way, he's making a play. It's been like that. He can't help if Dak Prescott makes piss poor decisions in the playoffs. He can't help if Michael Parsons wants to give up 47 points to the Packers because he can't stop the run. He wants to play the pass. That anybody deserves the money, it's Cee Dee. He should have been the first one to be paid. If you want to hesitate on Dak and Micah, fine. That's a fair point. Okay, because they've shit the bed. But Cee Dee has did nothing but come in as a first round pick and do what he's did. He's played the X receiver and has dominated over the last 3 years. So he deserves the money.
Now, before we get to the NFC East to NFC West predictions for you and the rest of us, because I got Ezra and I got Joey's predictions right here on my notes. But as far as Micah Parsons and as far as Dak Prescott, now that Cee Dee Lamb has his extension, how much money can Micah and Dak get? Because you cannot pay these three players the same equal amount of money.
Well, they should still have enough cap, because that's the problem with all the players they're just letting walk. I mean, where's the cap going then? You let your starting center walk, didn't want to pay him. You let your starting tackle walk, you didn't want to pay him. You let your starting running back go, you didn't want to pay him. Well, there's got to be money somewhere. I mean, you got to look at what other teams are paying and how they're coming up with the money. I mean, I know the 49ers got a rookie quarterback essentially on a rookie deal. Like Brock Purdy's making like basically the making fast food money worker wise. I mean, but still, they're able to get Fred Warner, the highest paid linebacker in the league, Christian McCaffrey, highest paid running back, Trent Williams, the highest paid receiver or tackle. Brandon Ayuk eventually get paid. Deebo Samuel got paid. George Kittle, the highest paid tight end in the game. There's money to be spent. I don't care. I mean, those three players, if you want to pay them the big money, they should be able to afford it, because there's no other money going into the Cowboys. Right. I don't know where.
Right.
Look at the Eagles. They just paid Jalen Hurts, and they still got both receivers locked up to big time deals. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And they got Lane Johnson, high paid right tackle. I mean, there's money to be spent. And I don't know. The Cowboys, they get the same cap as everybody else in the league. So there's no reason that Jerry should be sitting on that money like he does. I don't know.
Exactly, because you can't take the money with you when you die.
No, he's just sitting on it. He's not financing it worth a crap. I mean, you could pay all three players, no problem.
Yeah, especially when you're worth $10 billion.
Right, there's a couple players you can front load their money and give them theirs up front, and there's other players you can give their money at the back end of the deals. I mean, that's how business works. You can front load it or you can back load it.
Exactly. Now, moving on to the final predictions for the upcoming season. The NFC East and the NFC West. And we'll start things out. Well, let's switch it up a little bit. Start out with the NFC West. Of course, you got San Francisco, you got the Cardinals, you got the Seahawks, and you got the Rams. And before we get to me and you with our predictions, I want to run down Ezra and Joey's predictions for their picks. Okay. Ezra has on the NFC West, let's see, he has San Francisco 14-3. He has the Rams 10-7, Seattle 8-9, and the Cardinals 6-11. Joey, he has San Francisco 13-4. He has the Rams 11-6, Seahawks 9-8, Arizona identical to Ezra 6-11.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the NFC West?
I kind of like the order, but I'm gonna change it up. There are a lot of questions with San Francisco. Obviously, I've been following the Trent Williams don't want to come back until he gets paid. The Brandon Ayuk holdout continues. Yada yada. There's so many questions. I mean, the health, because a lot of people's already banged up in training camp. But I believe with the guys they got, worst case, I mean, say if Ayuk doesn't come back and Trent comes back sometime down the road. Worst case, I think this team has still got enough star power to win the West. I think they're that much ahead of the field out there in the West. So I think they will still finish first. I'm going to assume the Ayuk situation gets handled. I'm going to assume Trent Williams' situation gets handled. If that's the case, I think I like that record. I'm going to go to 49ers. They're going to win. They're going to go 13-4 again. They're going to have one game where they shit the bed, obviously, like every team does. And there's a couple games that are pretty tough. I mean, they got to go to Lambeau and then the next week go to Orchard Park in Buffalo, which is, that's going to be a little hectic part of the schedule. So they might drop one game or so there. And I just think, again, I think the same thing happens this year. Everybody talks about the Rams, but I think Brock Purdy and company, they sweep the West. I think they go 2-0 against all the teams out West. I don't. Here's the problem with the Rams, and this is who I got. I got the Rams in second place. Yes, they found a diamond in the rough in Puka Nacua, but Cooper Kupp's been banged up the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting old. He's on the decline. Matt Stafford is playing like a 39-year-old now, like 40-year-old. Like he's on the decline. He's still a hell of a quarterback. Don't get me wrong, top 10, but still, he's already battling injuries. He's been injured the last 2 weeks with a hamstring. That's my problem with the Rams. And not just that, their offense is good on paper with Puka and them, but one of the top 3 to 4 players on the defensive side of the ball in NFL history just retired. How are you going to feel that, Aaron Donald? What are you going to do about that?
Mm-hmm.
Then you trade away your best linebacker, Ernest Jones, earlier today to the Tennessee Titans. The Rams defense, even if the Rams, best case, their offense will put up 38 and 39 points, but their defense is going to give up 40 because, I mean, they don't got Aaron Donald no more. They don't got Ernest Jones. They lost Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator, to the Atlanta Falcons as a head coach. I don't trust them, and I like Stafford, and I respect Stafford as like a potential Hall of Famer, but I mean, enough's enough, man. Cooper, they do got a running game. If they can run the ball, they'll win a lot of games. But I just don't know, man. Cooper Kupp stays hurt. This is why I don't think they're on the Niners level. And I think, again, they get swept by the 49ers. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan owns Sean McVay. I think they get swept. And I think y'all are nice. I don't know who it was that had the 11-6. I think that's a little generous to me. I would say I'm actually going to go 10-7. I think best case scenario, they're 10-7, man. I just, how well is Kyron Williams in the second year? Sophomore slump. Is he going to be able to run the ball? Is Puka going to have a sophomore slump? Is Stafford going to play like a 50-year-old man? Or is he going to play elite football? Is Cooper Kupp going to keep getting hurt like he's been doing the last 2 years? There's so many questions about that team. I don't understand how some NFL analysts are even putting them in the same breath as like the San Franciscos or the Philadelphias or the Detroits. I don't see it. I think worst case, they're fighting for the 7 or 6 seed, worst case, or best case, and in the playoffs. But I think they'll be a pretty easy out. I don't know, man. I just don't think they got a good coach, and like I said, they got a good coach, a good running game last year, and Puka. But what is Stafford going to look like this year? How healthy can he stay? How healthy can Cooper Kupp stay? And the biggest question, what you going to do about a defense? That's the biggest question. And this is where I'm going to change up this year. The third place, and I can't believe I'm going to say it, in the NFC West, I think Arizona takes it. I think they take a big step up.
Whoa.
I'm going to go
Okay.
Arizona. I don't think it's going to be that good. I think Arizona, I'm going to say they go 8-9. I think 8-9, 9-8 best case because, I mean,
Okay.
I respect what Jonathan Gannon has brought from Philadelphia to Arizona. If you watch them games where they competed last year, they was able to run that damn rock. They was able to run the football. And when you can run the football, I mean, you got a chance. And what I've noticed is they ran on us pretty good. They ran on Dallas and put Dallas in the dirt early in the season.
They ran on Philadelphia.
They ran on Philadelphia. And you know what I noticed at the end of the year last year when Kyler Murray came back? They got pretty hot. They won a couple good games. They gave the 49ers a battle in week 14, I believe. And then 2 weeks later, they took out Philadelphia. So, I mean, I put a little respect on a lot of what people have been saying. But we got to remember, too, Kyler didn't play till half the year last year. Kyler's got a full offseason healthy. They drafted Trey Benson, the rookie running back, who's probably going to be a stud for him. Then they drafted the Hall of Famer son, Marvin Harrison Jr. That's the big one right there. They got an emerging tight end in Trey McBride. Their defense could use a little work, but their defense still couldn't use more work than the Rams. So I think their defense is better than the Rams. And I think that's going to give them a chance, man. I think Jonathan Gannon calling them run plays, Kyler Murray able to get out the pocket if he can damn make the right decisions, play like 2-3 years ago, Kyler Murray. They're gonna upset some people and they're gonna be on the rise. So I got them at 8-9. And Seattle, I'm gonna go. They go 7-10. I mean, that's not too far off. And I don't think Seattle is a trash team, but I think they are a team in need of a rebuild. I think that, I mean, you brought in Mike McDonald, who's probably going to give Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy fits because we've seen what Baltimore's defense was able to do to us in that Christmas Day game. And that's what Seattle wanted, to bring in a coordinator who can give us fits to bring us down, and that's okay. And I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to give us a hard time. But I don't trust Geno Smith. They wrote him off 2 years ago. He better go ahead and write back because his time's about over as the Seattle Seahawks quarterback. He's had his little Cinderella run. It was nice when it started. It's about over now. I like Kenneth Walker, but Tyler Lockett's about as old as a dinosaur. He's a fossil at this point. And DK, you never know what you're going to get out of DK. So if you don't get a quarterback, the offense ain't going to be crap. Going to have a defense. I will say that. Their defense will be the second best defense in the division behind San Francisco because of, like I said, Mike McDonald bringing that philosophy from Baltimore over to Seattle, where they already have a pretty good secondary in Devin Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen and all them. So I think they're going to have a pretty good defense. But their offense is the biggest question, and I don't know how they're going to fix that. Pete Carroll is finally gone, and it's a new regime. So I think this year's a total rebuild for them. But I think they got enough talent to at least win like 7 games. So I'm going to say they go 7-10 and last place. But it's going to be interesting for the last place between them and Arizona. But I think Arizona gets one more.
Okay. As far as I'm concerned with the NFC West, I think it's San Francisco's division to win. I think they're the best team in the NFC still this year. Even though they've still been going through their issues, with the contracts, holdouts and stuff. But if they stick together, like I know they can, and like they can, this team is one of the best teams in the conference. And they should be competing for another chance at winning another Super Bowl. And Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and company, in that defense and everybody on that team, they're talented for a reason. They've been in the mix for a reason. And if Kyle Shanahan can keep this team, keep them going, and keep them focused at the task at hand. Hey, we didn't get it, but we're going to get it. Then they can do it. And I think Brock Purdy's going to continue to thrive. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be another MVP candidate, for him because he's one of the best running backs in the NFL, and so glad that he got paid well-deserved money in the offseason. And Debo, when he's healthy, he can make some moves as a dual threat receiver, running back, and he can even throw the ball. And we can't forget about George Kittle. George Kittle was one of the best pound for pound complete tight ends, not just catching the ball, but blocking as well.
I'm glad you said something about that, because that's a virtue, and that's the unselfishness of Kittle, is because he doesn't cry. He doesn't cry when he don't get the ball. He's not a diva out there crying for the football. He don't want the football. If you told him all game is you're going to have one catch for 5 yards, but you're going to have like 6 pancake blocks on as far as run blocking, he'll take that any day of the week. Because Kittle likes to block. He likes to stick his nose in there. He likes to bulldoze defensive ends. He likes to bull rush the linebackers. And he also likes to say hi to the damn cameras too. So George Kittle is really the X factor in that team, as long as he can stay unselfish. And he's going to get this year. He's obviously pound for pound the best total tight end in the league. Even Travis Kelce had said that. Because of the way he likes to block in the run. And being a tight end, people think it's just catching balls. No, you got to be able to block. You got to be able to get your nose in there and open up holes for that running back, and you got to be proud to do it. And that's something George Kittle thrives in.
Wow, what a surprise. Joey, you there, brother?
Well, fellas, figured I'd hop on here for at least a few minutes.
We were just talking about the NFC West and talking about our thoughts on the upcoming season for these respective teams. We just ran through ours. We did say your picks already on the air, but as far as like, what are your thoughts on the division as far as like as a whole?
Oh,
This year.
This division is definitely going to belong to San Francisco. I mean, this has been San Francisco's division to lose for the past several years now, and I don't see anything changing this year. San Francisco just has too much talent on both sides of the ball, ranging from Brock Purdy to Christian McCaffrey to Deebo Samuel to George Kittle to Trent Williams to Nick Bosa to Fred Warner. I mean, to Hufanga. I mean, there's just too much talent on both sides of the ball for San Francisco, and there's no doubt in my mind that San Francisco is going to take this division hands down. As far as the other teams, I mean, that's really where it's going to get very competitive, because I can definitely see the Rams and the Seahawks engaging in a dogfight for second and third place, but I'm going to give the edge to the Rams, because the Rams, they are up and coming, and they also have great talent, but not so much on the defensive side of the ball as it is the offensive side. But you still got Matt Stafford, you still got Cooper Kupp, you still got Puka Nacua, who quite honestly had one of the best rookie years out of any wide receiver that has played the game in the last few years or so. The Rams, they still have a good defense. Definitely not as good as San Francisco's, though. Which is why I think they're going to get the advantage over Seattle. I'm going to give Seattle third place. And I know this is going to be a first year for them, because this will be their first year in, I believe, 10 years without Pete Carroll as their head coach. So Mike McDonald, he came from Baltimore as the defensive coordinator, so he obviously knows what he's doing. So I wouldn't call this a rebuilding year for Seattle, because they have the team to compete, to possibly compete and possibly earn that last wild card spot if they play their cards right. But as far as Arizona's concerned, hopefully Kyler Murray will be able to take some breaks from Call of Duty to actually focus on playing when he needs to.
Yes.
But other than that, Arizona just has a little bit of lackluster ability to where they can't really compete in the West right now. So it's going to be, of course, the Niners, the Rams, Seahawks, and Cardinals, in my opinion.
Now, Joey, let me bring this up. I know I mentioned it, Steven, but I think the Rams, the offense ain't the question. To me, I mean, obviously Cooper Cup can't stay healthy. That's a big concern. And the question is Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua, will they have sophomore slumps? You never know. And Stafford, is he going to be the elite quarterback, or is he going to be like kind of going downhill? But the biggest concern for me, I would actually say, is their defense, because, like I told Steven, they lost one of the top 3 to 4 defensive players ever in Aaron Donald retiring. Then just today, they traded away their best inside linebacker, Ernest Jones, traded to the Tennessee Titans. I don't know what's up with that. Then Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator, took the Atlanta Falcons head coaching job. So it's like question marks all over the field for their defense. In my opinion, that's a lot of losses.
Yeah, it really is. And that's why that defense is definitely going to be not as competitive this year as it was last few years, for sure.
Now, switching over to the NFC East, because I figured we saved the best for last. And giving Ezra's picks right here real quick before we move on to you guys. Ezra, he has the Eagles 11-6, the Washington Commanders at 9-8, the Cowboys at 8-9, and the Giants at 5-12. Joey, I'll start with you first.
I could definitely agree with Ezra's pick to win the NFC East, because Philly, I mean, they look like one of the most unstoppable teams throughout the first half of the season last year. But then, after suffering that absolute beatdown at the hands of the 49ers back in week 13, that's when it all went downhill for Philly. But I feel that Philly now has a chance to really redeem themselves, because, yeah, you still got Jalen Hurts back there. You still got A.J. Brown. You still got Devontae Smith. And now you got former Commanders wide receiver Jahan Dotson manning that number 3 slot, which is more than likely going to turn into a slot receiver spot. And honestly, I wish Dotson all the best of luck in Philly. Yeah, it sucks that he left Washington. I'll admit that. But the one thing that Ron Rivera tried to do was insert Jahan Dotson into the number 2 receiver slot when he's definitely built for the slot. Now, sometimes some teams can turn that number 2 receiver slot into a slot receiver spot, but it doesn't really work out for the best. So now Jahan Dotson has a chance to really improve himself, being the slot receiver that he knows he can be for Philly. And as far as the defensive side of the ball, yeah, Philly lost a little bit on defense, and their defense definitely struggled throughout the second half of the season last year. But Philly, they still have a good defense on paper. They do. So I'm going to go with Philly to win the East. Now, here is where it gets interesting, because unless you've been living under a rock and haven't seen what's happened on ESPN as of late, or in the NFL as of late, Cee Dee Lamb finally secured his long-term deal. 4 years, $136 million, including $100 million guaranteed and a $38 million signing bonus, which now tops Jay Jettis' contract when he signed that long-term deal with Minnesota, when he got a $35 million signing bonus. So now Jerry Jones is like, well, we finally inked Cee Dee Lamb, so what's next? Well, I'll tell you what's next. You might as well go ahead and start saying goodbye to Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons, because as far as Jerry Jones is concerned, this is his words, not mine. There is no rush to get a deal done with Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons. Well, here's the thing, Jerry. Dak Prescott is going to be a free agent after this year. And Micah Parsons, after he gets done with this year, he's only going to have one more year left on his rookie deal. So my suggestion is pick one or the other, because now that you finally gave Cee Dee Lamb his money that he's been asking for weeks and weeks and weeks, Dak Prescott, if, and this is a big if he has another year this upcoming year, just like last year. Because with Dak Prescott, one thing that I've noticed is the fact that he has a roller coaster of a career. He plays good, then plays bad, plays good, then plays bad. Well, this past year, he played good. So maybe this will be a year that he doesn't really do the best. And with that being said, I'm still going to put Dallas in second place in the NFC East, because Washington, they're on their way up. I'll give them that. They're on their way up because we have done a complete overhaul, and not just the players, but the front office as well. We brought in a new head coach. We have a new owner. We have hopefully our next chosen quarterback of the future. We have an up and coming running attack. We have great receivers. We just need to figure out who's going to fit into that number 2 slot. And I mean, our defense still looks pretty good. I'm not going to say it looks strong, but it's definitely a whole lot different and possibly a whole lot better than last year's defensive squad, because most of our money that we spent on cap space was spent on new players for the defense. I mean, we brought Bobby Wagner in. We brought Frankie Louvu in from the Carolina Panthers. We brought in a couple players from Dallas, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, and I'll admit Washington is looking really good right now. Now, am I gonna be surprised if they actually play their cards right and actually finish with a winning record and possibly make the playoffs? No, I won't. Because the Commanders are on their way up, just like I've been saying. But I'm still gonna put them at third place for right now, because the Commanders, like I said, they're on their way up, but they still have just a little bit of work to do if they really want to compete in the NFC East. And as far as the Giants are concerned, they can pretty much just fall down a well for all I care, because they just let Saquon Barkley walk, because they invested all their money, all their talent, and all their luck, I should say, in Danny freaking Dimes Jones, who has only led them to one playoff win ever since he signed that long-term deal, and pretty much told Saquon Barkley to go hang with Oscar the Grouch in the trash can. Giants, yeah, they had a great year a couple years ago, but it's not going to be like that this year. The Giants will be lucky if they get 7 wins this year. They'll be lucky if they get 7.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely
Speaking of trash
Eagles,
cans,
Cowboys, Commanders, and the Giants.
Okay.
Speaking of trash cans, that's not accurate, because if you told Saquon to hang around with the trash cans, he'll be still in the Giants organization. But he's gone now, so they obviously didn't tell him that. But I'm gonna go Philadelphia winning the division. Obviously, for another year, another team does not win or does not repeat as division winners. I think it's the Eagles. While the Cowboys were all in, the Eagles have seemed to have been the ones in that division making all the moves as far as the win now moves. I mean, you signed Saquon Barkley. If he can stay healthy, Jalen Hurts and Saquon without RPO is going to be a deadly combination. They locked up Devontae Smith. You got A.J. Brown signed to a big-time lucrative deal. I mean, yes, Jason Kelsey retired, so I don't know what this means for the tush push or the butt touch or whatever they call it in Philadelphia, brotherly shove. I don't know what it means for that, but they still got a hellacious offensive line. And yes, their defense is in question and have been in question last year. They couldn't tackle worth a shit. I mean, I watched Brock Purdy literally run over an outside linebacker. That was the funniest shit I ever seen. They did bring in Vic Fangio, one of the best defensive coordinators to ever be in the game, to try to fix this defense as they go to a 3-4. And I think it's going to be interesting. I think they drafted very good. They went out and drafted 2 corners that were pretty damn good in college, and I think they're going to make an instant impact. They got a decent safety and I can't think what his name is. The white safety, he's pretty good. And they need to release Bradbury because, in the words of Devo, that man's trash. He couldn't cover a stationary trash can from getting a 5-yard touchdown run. So if they do that, still got Darius Slay, big play Slay. So I think the Eagles go 12-5. They compete with the 49ers and the Lions for the 1 seed, but I think eventually there'll be a 3 seed in the NFC standings. I just think they did too much, especially on the offensive side of the ball, to hopefully fix Jalen Hurts. I mean, if he ain't broke, I mean, maybe he can fix it. And we'll see, because I believe this is a bold prediction, but I believe Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat. When
I
him and
agree.
Jalen Hurts' relationship is kind of fault, I feel like if this is not a get to the playoffs and at least make the divisional to the conference championship, I think Sirianni's out of there. And I think Jalen Hurts, they're going to pick Jalen over Sirianni. I think that's what it's going to come to. It's going to be like a Shaq and Kobe type of thing. Like, yeah, Shaq, you got to go.
Spot on.
We choose Kobe.
Spot on.
And I think that's going to propel them to win it. And second, I'm going to say the Cowboys, because I know they got a lot of questions with pay, but Micah's deal doesn't have to come till next year. So Micah will still be on the field. He's still going to play like he ain't worried about it. Dak will be out there, and I don't know. Dak's got something to play for whether he gets his extension or not, because let's be honest, Dak is going to be playing for another contract, another lucrative contract. And if Dak plays like he did last year, they're going to be some teams. Hint, hint, the Las Vegas Raiders. Hint, hint, the New Orleans Saints. Hint, hint, teams like that's going to want that quarterback play, and they're going to pay for it. So I think Dak has another decent to good year, and I think Cee Dee being back is going to help that. I'm worried, what the fuck are they doing at running back? I don't know if they'll even have a running game.
Hey, let's put Ezekiel Elliott as the blindside blocker.
Oh, my God. They need one of those, too, because they left their left.
Hey, and by the way, just to clarify, if you guys have not heard the intro yet, you need to go back and check that out, because I came up with that on the fly, just off the top of my head. Just I was like, you know what, I want to do an intro before the pre-intro, and I did an intro thing mocking the Cowboys finally signing Cee Dee Lamb, and it was fun. You're gonna get a kick out of it. So if you haven't heard it yet, go back and check it out. It's great.
Yeah, I think the running back situation, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, you got Zeke on a cheap deal, I guess. And, I mean, they might not have a running game. You let your starting center, Tyler Biadasz, go to Washington for literally nothing. You let him just walk. You lost Dan Quinn, your good defensive coordinator, obviously, to Washington as a head coach. And
the only thing he's good at besides losing 28-3.
And the big problem, I think, with Dallas right now is really not even their offense. And as bad as we say about the left tackle situation and the running back situation, I think the worst questions they got right now is on the defensive side of the football.
Yep.
Because of just news came out yesterday, all-pro corner Deron Bland will be out 6 weeks with a fracture in his foot, and Trayvon Diggs is not off the PUP list yet to return to play, so we don't know what he's going to look like coming off ACL. So their defense has got major concerns. However, I do like some of the defensive moves, I reckon. I mean, they got Carl Lawson to come in at defensive end so Micah Parsons can go back to being an off-ball linebacker on first and second down, so maybe teams can stop bullying all over Dallas like they do when they run the ball. Last year, that was if you wanted to beat Dallas, run the damn ball. Because when you run the ball, you're going to beat the shit out of the Cowboys. The Cardinals ran the damn ball. That's what they do best. Run the damn ball. The 49ers ran the damn ball. In the playoffs, Aaron Jones and the Packers ran the damn ball right down their damn throats. And that's how you beat Dallas. So that's what they needed to fix. I think Dallas goes, realistically, I think they go 10-7. They just got too much talent with Dak and Cee Dee out there, and Mike on like rushing the passer if he can fix his run defense. I think they got too much talent to go 9-8 or 8-9. They're still going to be in a wild card spot, but I don't think they're going to compete by no means with Philadelphia. I think it's going to be a clear cut division. What?
Right.
And I think that I think Washington's going to be third. I think while they are on the rise, I still have questions. I mean, offensive line, they didn't do nothing about them tackles. They did get a good center in Tyler Biotis, but watch Sam Howell literally go get murdered. It was literally a homicide out there watching Sam Howell take snaps at quarterback last year because that offensive line could not keep him upright. That's one of my biggest concerns. I also have I scratch my head about interdivisional trading. While Jahan Dotson might not fit the bill this year or with as a number 2 receiver, why the fuck would you trade him to the Eagles? Send his ass to Denver or something. Send him on the other side of the damn. Send him to the AFC. Send him to the Chiefs. I don't care, but I would never send him to the division. Oh baby. I would never send him in my own division against a team that I'm going to have to play 2 times a year. And Dotson even said it himself. He said, "Man, it ain't personal until I see Washington." And you know what that means? That means he's going to come out and try to catch 10 balls for 150 and brag like that's just I wouldn't do that. But Washington, I think, like Joey said, but to me, I think Washington's biggest upgrade has been defensively. I mean, you talk about Jaden Daniels, but all college quarterbacks, you don't know what they're going to look like in a pro. I mean, you're hopeful, but you never know what you're going to get. But defense, I can say Dan Quinn brings a scheme to that defense that their defense is going to upgrade. And I think that defense is going to have a huge upgrade with Dan Campbell coming in, or Dan Quinn coming in there, bringing that scheme to them. And I think that they're ideal for Jamin Davis to basically be used like Michael Parsons, play off-ball linebacker the first 2 downs and have them as a rush defensive end on 3rd down. I think that might be brilliant. So I think their defense is going to probably be the biggest. And I'm going to say 7-10, 8-9. Worst. I say best case, I say 8-9. They're going to be teetering. But then you talk about the Giants. I think the Giants are probably the worst roster in football. Them, the New England Patriots, and the Carolina Panthers. So I'm going to go. They got Daniel Jones outscored. They got Daniel Jones outscoring or throwing a damn screen pass. They got Daniel Jones outscoring a damn screen pass. So I don't know. I just think the Giants are going to end up going 4-13.
Ooh, brutal.
Brutal. Well, I will say real quick before Steven, you give your predictions. First off, I want to say bravo to you, Kevin, for that amazing name that you have. Never Cee Dee Super Bowl. Top notch. And also, as far as the running game is concerned, I don't know how Dallas is going to use Zeke, but I hope the fans do, or I hope Dallas does all their fans favor and do not put Zeke in at center because we don't want to see that train wreck happen again.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a funny story real quick for you before I get off and before Steven gives his prediction. So the new Madden was out and I was playing. I don't know what I did, but I was the Browns. I was playing the Steelers because I'm doing a Browns franchise. Anyway, I simulated for something, I guess on a PAT or field goal or something. So I simulated and I went to play the next down. And for some reason, I was supposed to be on defense and the Steelers were supposed to be on offense. Let me just show you what happened. I was literally, my offensive guys were out there on defense. John Watson out there at middle linebacker. I don't know what in the game beta screwed this up. They had TJ Watt out wide.
No.
Listen, they had TJ Watt out wide against Tyler Conklin, the left tackle at receiver and corner.
Oh my God.
TJ Watt was out there running routes on my left tackle. I said, What is this? I got the replay. I got to send this shit to you guys. But I said, you know what? I said,
God.
Dallas Cowboys. I said, let me guess, Zeke's gonna be at center if I was playing the Cowboys.
Oh, God. God.
Uh,
Oh, and also, by the way, real quick, Kevin, since you're still on here, I'll let you know that as of this weekend, I finally became the owner after doing a lot of saving, and of course, a little help from my wife. I finally became the owner of a brand new Xbox Series X with College Football 25.
hey!
Yes.
Yay!
Yes, sir,
what-
boy.
Nice. Well, that means you and Kevin are gonna be playing that game against each other.
Heck yeah.
Oh, I would love to be a fly on the wall in that room listening to you guys play that game.
But yeah, I'm gonna go and get off here. I just wanted to join in here for a few minutes. Oh,
Appreciate you guys joining in and giving your thoughts on both divisions.
Yes,
of
sir. I'm
course,
about to hop off here too, Steven.
of course.
All right, gentlemen.
Of course, and I believe next week is going to be our NFL playoffs preview, if I'm not mistaken.
Playoffs preview and also, baby, our first prediction battle.
That's right, because the NFL
Oh,
starts
yeah.
next Thursday.
Oh,
I've already
it's
got
gonna be fun.
ready to go.
Let's do it. It's gonna be great.
All right, fellas. See y'all next week.
All right, y'all. Y'all be good.
Appreciate you guys.
Steven, I'm gonna lead the foot on them
Yep.
Cowboys a little bit.
All right, take it easy, brother.
I'll holler at y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Yep, see you next week. And that was Joey and Kevin joining me here tonight. And thank you to them for joining here tonight and giving their thoughts on the NFC East and West. And I want to give my predictions real quick on the NFC West. The NFC East, excuse me. I think that the Philadelphia Eagles, like Kevin, like Joey have said, and like Ezra has in his predictions, I think that Philadelphia is going to win the division this year because I think they've made some good moves to become better. But the thing is like Kevin said, Nick Sirianni is going to be on the hot seat because to me, Philadelphia is Super Bowl or bust. If they don't win a Super Bowl this year, this team's getting blown the hell up. They're done after this year if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, let alone the conference championship game. Because if they go out there in the first round of the wild card round or even the divisional round, if they somehow become the top seed in the NFC and they lose after the bye in the playoffs in the first game, done. Blow it up. Done. Don't give a damn about Jalen Hurts' contract. Don't give a damn about Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown's contracts. Nope. Nick Sirianni, you're out. You're the scapegoat. You're done. I think Philadelphia. I think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to have a better year this year compared to last year. Because as we all know, last year we were on this show plenty of times last year, destroying this team when they had a great start and then they shit the bed multiple times later down the stretch, including that horrific loss against San Francisco. I mean, just crazy. And then Arizona, it's like Arizona, like Kevin said, broke their spirits. Because that was when Philadelphia was still contending, to try to get the NFC East crown. And they didn't, obviously, because they went on this losing streak and it was ugly. And I think Philadelphia's going to bounce back because, as we all know, Barkley is now with Philadelphia after leaving the Giants. And, man, Barkley is going to want to stick it to the Giants, for not keeping him and offering him a good enough contract. Because if Barkley can stay healthy for Philadelphia, he's going to run all over them and all the other teams in the NFC East. Dallas, I think, all jokes aside, I think the Cowboys at best are going to finish 10 and at best 11-6. Or you know what? Okay, Philadelphia, I say 12-5. Philadelphia 12-5 at best 12-5 for Philadelphia, at worst 11-6. Dallas, at best, 11-6, at worst, 10-7. I think the Cowboys, despite their struggles with Jerry Jones, thank you very much, not paying his players, and all of that. I mean, good grief. You got to keep these players around if you want to win. And you got to have a head coach that cares. And I mean, 7 different head coaches since 96. Come on, give me a break. I think the Cowboys overall are going to have a pretty solid season this year, all kidding aside. But still, the intro I thought was hilarious. Sorry, Cowboys fans, not. I think Dak Prescott is going to have another good year as long as he can stay healthy, as long as he can continue to be consistent and stay away from that turnover bug. And the offensive line can continue to do their job and protect him and block for him. And if that defense to me, like Kevin has said, like Joey has said, their defense has a lot of questions going into this year. They to me are the one team that has a defense to me that is, they definitely bend and they break a lot. Their defense is going to have to make a lot of plays to have a chance at winning the NFC East again for a second year in a row. And I think the Commanders, at best, 9-8, at worst, 8-9. I mean, when you got the moves that the Commanders have made, in the offseason, getting their first round overall pick, Jaden Daniels, who is now going to be the starting quarterback. And I think he's going to make progress. I think it's going to have some games where he's good. And I also think he is going to have games where, obviously, he's a rookie. So he'll play like a rookie at times as well. I think he has a huge upside. I think he's going to be pretty solid. I think he's going to learn. He'll have to fail to get to where he wants to be, because I've always believed in order to achieve success, you have to fail in order to make it to the top of the mountain. And I think Washington, they're going to make some strides, and I think they'll probably beat the Giants maybe once, maybe twice. Maybe they could split with Philadelphia. Who knows? As long as, Jaden Daniels doesn't turn the ball over a lot, can they compete with Dallas? Maybe, because sometimes the Cowboys could be their own worst enemy, at times. I think the Commanders, they're going to make some moves, but I think, spoiler alert, I think they're going to just barely miss the playoffs. And that leaves me with the Giants. I think the Giants are in a world of trouble. A world of trouble. Danny Dimes is not the answer. You get rid of Saquon Barkley, you let Saquon Barkley walk. You let Barkley walk to Philadelphia, and they paid him. And now you're going to pay New York for letting Saquon Barkley walk to your competition, walk to your divisional rival. And now Danny Dimes and the rest of the Giants are walking into a literal, alive hell on earth. Football hell is where they will spend eternally for the year 2024-25 for the National Football League regular season. I think the Giants are going to struggle. I think they're going to be really, really bad. I say they will be lucky if they win 4 games, but it wouldn't surprise me if they lose the majority of their games and only win 2 or 3. I'm gonna be somewhat nice and say the same record, I believe, as Kevin. I think he said 4-13. I'm gonna say 4-13 as well. I think the Giants are god awful. I think they are literal living, breathing trash cans. It is just absolutely hilarious how bad this team has been in the offseason this year. Again, hardly any significant moves. You let Saquon Barkley walk. It is just crazy to me. Crazy how the Giants, like the Cowboys, haven't really done nothing in the offseason. But unlike the Cowboys, the Giants don't have a whole hell of a lot of talent on that team now. I mean, Daniel Jones is not the answer at quarterback. I'm sorry. The ghosts of him running down the football field will continue to haunt him for the rest of his natural playing professional career. And the Giants, they're going to be bad. They're going to be really, really bad. Really bad. Now, let me switch back over to the NFC West again. I think San Francisco, and I've already given my predictions. Like I said, so I got San Francisco winning the division. I got San Francisco winning the division. I got the Rams at number 2. I got Seattle at number 3, and I got the Cardinals at number 4. So as far as record wise, I think San Francisco. I'm going to give San Francisco not only the division in the NFC West. I'm going to give them the top overall seed in the NFC. I got San Francisco 14-3. At best 14-3 though. If they don't, 13-4. I got the Rams at best 11-6 if they overachieve, but I'm going to give them 10-7. Seattle, I have them barely. Again, here's a spoiler for you. I have Seattle barely missing the playoffs, 9-8. And I had the Cardinals going 6-11, just like Ezra and just like Joey. And I think San Francisco, as long as they can stay composed, because we know that they have a top roster. And Brock Purdy, I think, will continue to be successful as long as Deebo Samuel can stay healthy, as long as Brandon Ayuk can stay focused. And if I'm Brandon Ayuk, I'm staying on that team, because even if you are the 4th best option, like we talked about here on the show the last couple of weeks, talking about this saga with San Francisco, Brandon Ayuk, even if he is the 4th best option, that's a good thing. Because if you're the 4th best option, that means you too can be the number 1 or number 2 overall threat, on offense. Because when you have more than one option to be a number 1 threat for a specific game, that means it's going to be hard for the opposing team to game plan. Hey, who are we trying to stop today? Because if one team goes with a game plan to stop Brandon Ayuk, well, maybe during that game, let's say if it's Philadelphia versus San Francisco again, let's say if Philadelphia goes in for George Kittle. Well, and they're studying all his plays and his routes that he runs and stuff and how to defend him. What if their game plan is to go to Deebo Samuel? What if their game plan is to go to Brandon Ayuk? Or hell, what if their game plan is to go to Christian McCaffrey? Because when you have more than one option to be a threat on offense, it is hard to guard a football team down the field. And as long as the offensive line can stay healthy, because Trent Williams to me is the key to this team being successful this year. Because if Trent Williams isn't healthy and not playing out there on the football field, this team can struggle. Because who in the hell is going to protect Brock Purdy? Because there's been times when Williams was out of the lineup last year where Brock Purdy was struggling. He was throwing interceptions. He had a couple of games where he was really, really bad. And then obviously when Trent Williams was there, they were good because everybody was there predominantly. So like I said, I think San Francisco, I think they are going to be the top team in the NFC conference overall. And let me get to the Rams as well. I think Matthew Stafford and the Rams overachieved last year. They stunned everybody. And Puka Nacua had a hell of a year last year, rookie year last year. And if Cooper Kupp can stay healthy, and I know Kevin touched on that when he was on the show here tonight, that if Cooper Kupp can stay healthy, he's having trouble staying healthy, and I understand that. But if he can stay healthy, then Cooper Kupp can be don't forget about how good he is. But when you have Puka Nacua, who is one of the best, rookie sensations last year, now going into his second year in the National Football League, if Cooper Kupp and Nacua can, stay together as the top number 1 and 2 combo, with the Rams, this team can make some serious noise in the NFC. And let's not forget the opening Sunday night game is between the Rams and the Lions, and I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a hell of a game. Hell of a game. I think the Rams this year, offensively, they're going to be strong. But defensively, like Kevin has said, like Joey has said, who is going to be the number 1 guy to take the great Aaron Donald spot? Because now that he is retired, that defense to me is going to struggle. That's why I think the Rams are going to go, at best, if they overachieve, 11-6. But I think, like we all have agreed for the most part, I'd say 10-7. Seattle, Geno Smith a couple years ago had a Cinderella story that was a hell of a run, made the playoffs. Last year, didn't make it at all. This year, I think they're going to make strides again to make it possibly to the playoffs, but they're going to, barely miss it, I think. And then that leaves me with the Cardinals. You have Kyler Murray, who last year, got to give him credit. Kyler Murray last year, during that second half of the run for the Cardinals during the 23-24 season campaign, he had a stretch where he was pretty solid. He wasn't throwing a lot of interceptions. He was getting the ball to his favorite targets, and they were running the ball good, like Kevin said. And they shocked a lot of teams last year. And I think they can make some noise, but a little bit. But I think there's going to be times where they struggle. Now, obviously, we know the key acquisition in the offseason was in the draft with the draft selection of one of the best receivers in the draft class, arguably Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, I think Marvin Harrison Jr., his talents are going to shine. I think that he's going to have a good rookie season campaign. I think him and Kyler Murray are going to find a connection early on in the season. And it'll be interesting to see how far this team goes down the line, because I think they're going to make strides, where they're going to win some games. But I think, like Kevin has said, like Joey has said, and like Ezra has in his predictions, I'm going to have the same record as Arizona. I think they're not going to be the worst team in the NFC. Obviously, I think it's going to be the Giants and the Panthers combined. I think I had the Cardinals going 6-11. At best, if they win another game, 7-10. So there you go, folks. There is our division previews for the upcoming 2024-25 NFL regular season, which kicks off on September the 5th at Arrowhead in Kansas City, Missouri, with the opening game of the regular season with the Baltimore Ravens and the two-time defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. And man, oh man, oh man, we are so excited to be back on the show next week to give our playoff predictions for the upcoming playoffs campaign when that rolls around in January. And folks, like I've said it before time and time again, like we have said it time and time again, you better enjoy the NFL season while you can, because it will fly by so fast. God, it's so great to be alive as a sports fan. Looking forward to the NFL season kicking off next week. Next week, we begin our NFL prediction battles for week number 1, baby. It's going to be amazing. Looking forward to another great year here on our Nation Sports Show, covering the NFL season front to back, top to bottom, talking about the highlights of the week, the biggest games, the shocking upsets, the ugliest of defeats. And who knows, maybe we'll get another one of those performances this year, like last year, where the Dolphins beat the Broncos 70-20. Who the hell knows if that's going to happen? But that's next week, folks. We will be giving our predictions for the upcoming 2024-25 NFL playoffs next week. And like we said, we will be giving our first full week prediction battles for the upcoming NFL season that begins next week. So again, folks, thank you to Kevin and Joey for joining me here tonight. Unfortunately, Ezra could not be on here tonight due to a power outage in his area. And hopefully your power is going to come back on very soon there, buddy. And again, thank you for joining all of us tonight here on the show. For those that watch on demand, thank you very much as well for tuning in. And again, I figured, before the show tonight, I give my concert recaps of the Mojo Thunder show in Louisville, Kentucky. And last night with Green Day, Rancid, and the Linda Littas in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, 2 incredible concerts the last couple of days. And not only do I love sports, as you all know, I love my music. Music is my passion. I love it. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. I love it. I live for music every day. And like the song by Back Home, it goes, live for the music. Give it everything you got. And we give it everything we got here on the Sports Show. And with that being said, I think this puts a nice little cherry on top for tonight's episode. Again, looking forward to next week as we come back to you in another episode our first episode of the month of September. Yes, folks, fall is around the corner and summertime is almost over. And again, looking forward to next week coming on here with you guys, giving our thoughts on our predictions for our playoff predictions for the upcoming NFL playoffs later on when the postseason gets around in January. And again, our first official regular season prediction battles begins next week. I will be defending my prediction title crown for this upcoming year, and it's been a lot of fun doing this the last couple of years since we made this a best of fun competition to see who wins the prediction battles. The other year, it was Kevin who won, and then last year it was yours truly that won. Who will win this year? We will have to find out, and that's all the fun, baby. And I know the question, and I know the answer. Are you ready for some football? Because I know I am, Ezra is, Kevin is, Joey is, and I know all of y'all out there are ready for it as well. And that will do it for tonight's episode of our Nation Sports Show. Again, don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at @Owen_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show. And where Our Nation Sports Show is live on most Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays, and whenever the hell we are on live, you can catch us on our designated YouTube channel at youtube.com/Our Nation Sports Show, where we are live at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. And don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter or X at Nation's Corner, Facebook.com/Nation's Corner, and where they are live on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific at youtube.com/The Nation's Corner. Be sure to join the guys and gals as they recap all things professional wrestling. And talking about this past weekend's AEW All In and all of the happenings, the ins and the outs of WWE. As we all know, Bash in Berlin is this Saturday in Germany. That's going to be a hell of a show. Highlighted by Randy Orton and Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. KO Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Undisputed Championship. And so much more will be happening. Again, be sure to join the guys and gals this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific for another edition of the Nation's Corner. And be sure to join us here next week for another outstanding edition of our Nation Sports Show as we begin our coverage of the 2024 National Football League regular season campaign. So with that being said, for K-Rod, Kevin Rory, for Ezra Vickery, for Joey Thornton, for myself, Stephen Wyand, for Randy Gyron, William Gyron, everybody out there in sports land here on the World Wide Web on YouTube. For those that tune in on demand, thank you very much. And for those that tune in tonight, thank you as well. See you next week. Same time, same YouTube channel, same sports coverage that you know and you love. Take care of each other. Be good to one another. Be good to each other. Make memories. Laugh. Love each other. Take a road trip with the ones that you love. And all of that good stuff. Enjoy the sports. Enjoy the wrestling. And we'll see you back here next week on YouTube, live and in color, for another edition of our Nation Sports Show. For Ezra Vickery, for K-Rod, Kevin Rory, for JT, Joey Thornton, for Randy Gyron, William Gyron, I've been your host, Stephen Wyand, and this has been another edition of our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Peace.